I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
George Bush is sworn in as the 41st President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
He takes a solemn oath to the American people to uphold the Constitution.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
11 years later, his son, George W. Bush, hopes to follow in his father's footsteps. But few Americans realize that both father and son have already taken an oath to a mysterious and powerful secret society known as Skull and Bones. It happened while each was a student at prestigious Yale University.
The society was actually founded on the Yale campus in the year 1832 by a General Russell, who modeled it upon German lodges of Freemasonry that used a lot of death's head imagery, skulls, skeletons, coffins, that sort of thing.
Ron Rosenbaum, a journalist whose work has appeared in the New York Times, has spent several years investigating Skull and Bones and its powerful members.
Skull and Bones is designed, I think, as a bonding ritual initially for the old money, old-fashioned, blue-blood Eastern establishment.
In addition to both President Bush and his son, other distinguished members, or Bonesmen as they're called, include Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts and conservative spokesman William F. Buckley, Jr. Each year, 15 new members are selected from the junior class in a ceremony known as Tap Night. Prospective members receive a tap on the shoulder from a Bonesman. For these chosen few, this exclusive invitation means they are destined for greatness.
These 15 people are going to be part of an elite, not just an elite on the Yale campus, but an elite of American destiny. People who will guide the nation, people who consciously see themselves as having a mission to be America's leaders.
The new members are led to this forbidding and windowless structure on the Yale campus, known as the Tomb. And it's the secret meeting place of Skull and Bones.
There are all sorts of legends about what goes on that April night when the Skull and Bones members are tapped and are first brought to the tomb.
Exactly what happens behind these padlocked doors. Rumors include everything from bizarre sexual practices to grave robbing.
Part of the reason for the secrecy, I think, is it creates a mystique, inwardly and outwardly. It encourages the members of Skull and Bones to believe that they're so special, that what goes on in the tomb is so highly fraught with deep meaning that it can't be uttered to the outside world.
Senator Kerry and Mr. Buckley politely declined our written request to speak with them about their membership in Skull and Bones. Mr. Bush also refused to comment. But one thing is clear. The power of Skull and Bones extends far beyond the ancient walls of its secret tomb.
I think what makes Skull and Bones significant, not just as some, extra special fraternity or something like that, is that over the years, Skull and Bones people have been secretaries of state, they've been presidents, they've been in the foreign policy establishment, they've been in the cabinet, they've been on the Supreme Court. These are the people who have shaped America's character. And what's interesting is they've had their character shaped inside the tomb of Skull and Bones.
Senior, or Poppy as he was known to some, grew up on Jupiter Island, just right off the coast of Florida there, along with Robert Lovett, who was instrumental in starting up the CIA, and George Merck of Merck and Company, also head of biological warfare for the United States, Averell Harriman, Skull and Bones and Brown Brothers Harriman, and a bigwig in American politics, and then Terrence Dillon, who worked with Sam Bush at the War Industries Board, and also Paul Mellon, who was the son of Andrew Mellon, the same Andrew Mellon who made cannabis illegal back in the 30s. Went to Yale, captain of the baseball team. That's him there getting a Babe Ruth signature. And he went into the Air Force and fought in World War II, got shot down, and then came home, started having babies. That's him with Prescott and Barbara there. And there's little W. So he started raising a family in Midland, Texas, and getting into the oil business with his Zapata oil rigs. But actually he was working for the CIA at the time and helping them move a little of that cocaine into the United States.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is your government who imports those drugs and who is selling those drugs to your children, and has been from the very beginning. And the only ones that they ever catch or allow to be caught are those who are in competition with them. This operation was put into place in the late 50s. It was organized by George Bush in cooperation with the CIA while he was president and CEO of Zapata Oil. Their plan was to bring the drugs in from Central and South America to the offshore oil platforms of Zapata Oil, from there to bring them into the United States by the normal crew conveyance and helicopters. Therefore, they would not have to undergo inspection by custom officials or law enforcement agencies of any kind. And it's been going on ever since.
William Cooper says some wacky things, but I believe him when he talks about Zapata. Apparently the Bay of Pigs invasion was orchestrated by George H.W. Bush. He operated Operation Zapata for the CIA, and the landing craft were named the Houston and the Barbara. And of course George lived in Houston and was married to Barbara. So we gotta wonder about the Bay of Pigs and just how he was feeling about Kennedy abandoning the Cuban invaders by not providing the air cover that the CIA so desperately wanted.
Mr. Castro has said that these were mercenaries. According to press reports, the final message to be relayed from the refugee forces on the beach came from the rebel commander when asked if he wished to be evacuated. His answer was, "I will never leave this country." That is not the reply of a mercenary. We intend to profit from this lesson. We intend to re-examine and reorient our forces of all kinds, our tactics, and our institutions here in this community. We intend to intensify our efforts for a struggle in many ways more difficult than war, where disappointment will often accompany.
Now, watch this next clip here. You'll see Kennedy getting shot, and what looks to many researchers, at least more than one, as the driver actually taking his head off. You can understand why Jackie would crawl out of the limo if that were true. But you just kind of see a glint of flash of silver in the driver's hand right before his head gets blown off. I've got to wonder about that myself. But there's a lot of discrepancies with how JFK was supposedly blown away by a lone gunman. And many researchers point to this photo in the Warren Commission as a picture of Oswald watching the limousine go by, obviously not armed and dangerous. But many believe that he's a patsy. Many believe that this is a photo of the assassins. And this person right here is a fellow named Barry Seal, who turns out to be the biggest drug smuggler in all the United States. Here's a picture of Felix Rodriguez with Che Guevara. Felix is a good personal friend of George Bush, another hired assassin in Cuban. And here's a picture of George right after Kennedy was assassinated. This is 1964. And a quote, very famous quote by now, of a George Bush of the CIA being briefed about President Kennedy's assassination. This is years before George was officially working for the CIA. Well, he kept himself busy in the 60s.
I was just wondering what the Pepsi-Cola people would think if they knew what was happening here now that they're gone. But don't you ever wonder about that?
No, Rom, I don't. I wonder how many pilots already know about this place. What do you come, bud?
This stuff's good. Really good, Major. Do you want to try some?
With all due respect, General, I'm not here for a taste test, okay? I am here to ask you again, please. Let's shut this lab down for 1 week only, just while the Senator is here.
Why don't you just tell baggage man Senator to go home now? Kick out.
Well, I wish it was that easy, General. And in a civilized country like yours, it would be. But in this case, it's just easier to shut down this lab.
Then you and me be poor men and cannot pay for war. If we don't sell heroin, no money to feed my soldiers. No, Major. Better you and me stay good friends. You take care of silly suitcase man, yes?
Of course, General. As always, you are thinking more clearly than